Hello, everybody. My name is Corey, aka Bass Note, and I'm going to be posting my first YouTube video. I've never actually posted a video before, so we're going to see how this goes. I hope it goes okay. I was thinking about what I really wanted to do for my first video, and I thought, well, I'm a big fan of movies, and one of my favorite series of all time has to be, I'm an 80s child, it has to be Friday the 13th. I'm just addicted to Jason. Got the Friday the 13th Blu-ray set right here. Alright, this is awesome buy, awesome purchase. Like I said, I'm an 80s child. I loved all the horror movies of the 80s. I mean, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, Chucky, Leprechaun. I know he was more 90s, but Leatherface. I mean, it could just go on and on. But there was something about Jason. I mean, I remember back like in the late 80s, early 90s, going downstairs late at night and watching USA's Up All Night and seeing like those Friday the 13th movies, and I was probably maybe like 7, 8 years old at the time. But I loved them. I mean, what does that say about me? 7 or 8 years old watching those movies, but I just loved them then. I never really even found them that scary. I just really enjoyed them, and I'd always have my friends over, and I get a very nostalgic feeling when I go and I watch them, especially the ones from the 80s. I mean, not so much the ones, that have been released more recently, but those ones from the 80s, I really get that nostalgic feeling. So I've seen some videos online of some people going and listing, their Friday the 13th movies, usually going from worst to best. So I agree somewhat with some of the list. I mean, some things I would change. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and post my own video, putting all 12 of the movies. And I'll just I'll say a couple things about each one. I mean, and for the most part, I really, really like the Friday the 13th series. I think it's just one of the best, horror series out there. But there are a couple of shit bombs in the series, no doubt. And I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, after 12 films, it's hard to get it right after all 12 films. But I'm just going to go. I'm going to start off with my least favorite and go all the way up to my favorite. And you may agree, you may not agree. That's okay. These are just my opinions. So, alright, I'm going to start off. So, to start off, I'm going to... Well, I did want to show you real quick before I start off just some of the things that come in this set. You get this little band here, like an armband. I'll hold it up and see if you can see it. You're all doomed. I told the others, they didn't believe me, you're all doomed. So you get that. You could wear, comes with a pair of 3D glasses. You could actually go and watch part 3 in 3D. Obviously, I've never opened mine. I really don't plan on it. I never really cared for that 3D in that anyway. And my eyes are all messed up. The 3D, it sort of bothers my eyes. And then the last thing, which I didn't open yet either, is you get a patch. It says Camp Crystal Lake Counselor. And then it also comes like with a little booklet, and it has different things about each movie. Like there's one from part 5. I think it has some quotes from the directors and actors. Which, I mean, I went through when I was reading it. Anyway, now we can go ahead and we could begin with the list. But it's a little expensive, but it's worth the purchase. Alright, so to start off, the one that I would just say easily for me had to be the biggest shit bomb. The one that I was so disappointed in. I mean, I remember I went to the theater and I was excited. I was like, and disappointment. Words can't even express, but you can see it. Freddy vs. Jason. I hated this movie. I was nervous anyway, because I mean, you figure you're taking Freddy, like two of the most iconic horror figures of all time, Freddy and Jason. You're gonna go and put them together. It's like, I don't know how to do it. And to me, it was a little too comic booky, like, and I guess like fantasy related, which I guess that's all like more Freddy's World. But I felt it was more Freddy's World than Jason, and I've always been way bigger fan of Jason. So I just wasn't I wasn't a fan of it at all. And every single time, admit this could just be me, but every single time somebody got like stabbed or anything, it was like they hit a major artery. All of a sudden, gallons and gallons of blood are just coming flying. It's like, oh man, my pinky finger, and it's just shooting out everywhere, spraying walls like a fire hose. It was just like ridiculous to me a little bit, and it didn't seem like, you know, that normal like Jason movie that I was used to. It was just very, like I said, it reminded me kind of like a comic bookish, which I guess some people like, but I definitely was not one of them. I was highly disappointed. To me, one of the failures of the series. So that would be my number 12. And really, when it gets down to like even like the bottom three, it's like it's hard to even put them in. I just there's a couple of them that I really just disliked. The next one is, where is it at here? Oh, here it is. Jason Goes to Hell. And for obvious reasons, this one will be number 11. For obvious reasons, with Jason Goes to Hell, there's no Jason in it. I mean, that's really like what sort of killed it. And I want to. There was some cool, like, you know, gore stuff, because really, when it comes down to Friday the 13th, you're looking for. I mean, to me, the iconic things for me is you got to have the gore, and you got to have the titties. You got gore and titties. That's what makes up like a good Friday the 13th movie. Everything else, yeah, you want Jason to be cool, you want him to be kind of badass, but those two things to me, that's like the iconic things: the gore and the titties. And this one had that, but it didn't have Jason, so it just didn't. It just didn't work for me at all. Just that absence of Jason, and I wound up just getting kind of bored with it. I just wasn't that interested. I remember it was the first time that I really was like disappointed heavily in a Friday the 13th. Well, with the exception of Part 5, but it just wasn't I wasn't a fan. So again, some people might be. For me, it just didn't do it. Alright, so I'm actually going to go and keep this disc out when I go to number 10. Number 10 is Jason X, Jason 10. Number 10 is 10. And really, like I said, when it comes down to like number 10, Freddy vs. Jason, they're all kind of just lumped together. It's hard to just even like put them, but I guess if I had to rank just how much, I would have to go, you know, I'd put Jason 10 at 10. And to me, this was just a very poorly made movie. The production values I thought were just shit. I thought the acting was terrible. The music was terrible. I hated the metal Jason. I thought the metal Jason really was just lame. And the whole idea, I mean, you're taking him to space. We all saw what happened when Leprechaun went to space. When you go and you start sending these horror creatures to space, it's not going to be good news. And that's what I completely felt with Jason X. Now, I mean, the only reason I put Jason X ahead of all this is because everyone knows and everyone talks about it. It did have that one badass kill where he takes her head, puts it in the liquid nitrogen, and just shatters it. I mean, that was very cool. But that was the only thing out of that movie that I liked. I hated everything else about it. I really did. But that's why I'd rank that higher than the other two, because it had that. But that was, again, I went and saw this one in the theater, and I was hugely disappointed. I was amazed how poor. It just seemed like it had such a low budget. I would think a Friday the 13th would have a higher budget than that. And I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I don't know what the budget was for it, but to me, it just didn't look very good. I thought a lot of things were very poor. It looked almost like, you know, a sci-fi. If sci-fi was going to make a Jason movie, that's what it reminded me. Like, that would totally be what it was. It would be that's exactly what it is. It's a sci-fi original Jason movie, is what 10 is. And we all know how good those sci-fi movies are. Alright, moving along. I gotta get this one back in here. Now we're on to number 9. And number 9 is Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Now, again, the problem I have with Friday the 13th, Part 5, just like with Jason Goes to Hell, it's not Jason. And really with Friday the 13th, Part 5, you want to talk about the gore and the titties. It had tons of it. I mean, it had tons of nudity, had tons of gore. They were some of the, to me, when I look back on it and I sort of remember, there's some of like the most, I thought it was one of the most violent ones out of all of them, which is good. And that's why I'm ranking it above some of the other ones. But that ending was just such a letdown when you go and you find out that it wasn't Jason the whole time. And it's like, oh, it just, you feel cheated. I did, at least. I mean, again, I'm just speaking from my personal experience, but I felt cheated. I felt robbed. And it like took away a lot from the movie, even though, and it's a shame because it really, I thought it was a really decent horror movie, decent flick, except for that. I mean, what they shouldn't even have made it a Jason movie. They should have just went and made it some other, like, that he dressed up as some other guy, and then it wouldn't have been a Jason movie, but it would have been a pretty decent horror movie. But the whole fact that they go and they set it up the whole time, it's Jason, oh, huge letdown. So, that's why Friday the 13th Part 5 gets my number 9 choice.